Hello, everybody. Welcome to Holly Randall Unfiltered. Today, I'm very excited to have another couple of podcasters on the show. They're actually part of the Pleasure Podcast Network, which is a sex podcast collective that I'm part of alongside a bunch of other really amazing sex positive podcasts. So we're kind of like a big family here. So I'm very excited to have them. If you're into sex positive podcasts, you've probably heard their show. It's called Shameless Sex with April Lampert and Amy Baldwin. And Amy is a sex and relationship coach, a certified sex educator, as well as co-owner of a mother-daughter owned online pleasure boutique called Pure Pleasure Shop. April is a sex educator as well. She travels internationally as the vice president of Hot Octopuss, an innovative pleasure product company. She was voted Women of the Year in the adult industry, which is super fucking cool. And together they make up the incredibly popular podcast, Shameless Sex. Thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having us. We love being here with you, Holly. You're one of our favs, our favorites.
In our family.
Thank you. So we talked a little, you mentioned it kind of briefly because you guys interviewed me last week for your show. And you guys are best friends, right?
Yep.
And you were actually inspired to start this podcast by being guests on Sex with Emily. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So can you tell me like kind of how that all came about?
Yeah, so April and I have been best friends since 2006.
Yeah.
I think 2006. We met working in the restaurant industry of all places. And I already was on the track to get into the human sexuality realm. I was going to school for psychology and human sexuality and knew I was going to open up a sex shop with my mom here in Santa Cruz. That's Pure Pleasure Shop. We did sell the retail store. Now we're just online. The Cliff Notes version was, I saw that April is what I call social savant. And I was like, you should work at my sex shop. And she's like, I don't even own a vibrator. And I said, here's a vibrator. And the rest of his was history. And we went on from there to both dive deeper into the sex toy industry, where we went from just working in a retail store to working with companies. Now April's the VP of Hot Octopuss. I work with Uberlube as well and do sex and relationship coaching. And fast forward to always talking about doing a creative project together. Didn't know what it would be. We're pretty sure that we shared some past lives together.
You did a Somatica training with Sex with Emily.
Yes.
And Sex with Emily Morse was asking Amy to come on her show. And I was in LA with Amy working, and Amy was pitched me as well. And I knew Emily because I worked with her before on some other projects for another sex toy company. And I was like, Amy, what the fuck am I going to talk about on Emily's show? I'm like, I'm not a sex educator. I mean, she's like, yes, you are. I was like, I guess you're right. I am. And then I was single, and it was
She's a divorcee.
I was a divorcee.
Yeah,
and
I was single. She was a divorcee.
I've been traveling all the world and like banging out dudes. I had never done that before. And it was really fun. And it was Emily's most listened to show of 2017. And we were like, shit.
What was it called again?
It was called Orgasms, Squirting in the Year of Anal Licking.
Yeah.
Because,
that's a catchy title. Sometimes you guys probably know, like,
title.
It's the title. You get that good title in there. It's like,
and people are like, why was 2016 the year of anal licking?
I'm like, because every dude I hooked up with, which I was a serial monogamist, so I had not really hooked up with that many people. I hadn't been out there. And every guy went straight for the anus.
The anus
licking.
so your anus.
Licking mine.
Or wanting to, at least.
Wanting to. And I was like, okay, we're going there. I haven't showered yet. I was dancing on the dance floor all night, but okay, let's do it.
Do you I get nervous when guys want to do that without me being prepared. Though I guess when I'm hooking up with a guy first thing, I try to kind of check everything down there before I start. But I definitely get I think I almost get overly queasy about hygiene just because I work in the adult industry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, me too. I didn't know that was a thing though. That's why when I was on this Emily's show with Amy, I was like, is that a thing? Yeah. I know it is. So I'm now prepared, Holly. I wasn't back then.
Here's some wipes in her purse.
Yes, now I have the wipes going. I'm just fine.
She's always prepared for another
I'm
year.
Not single anymore.
I don't think 2020 is going to be the year of anal licking, just because people are being extra cautious. Digital. We get some offers now on Instagram. They're sliding into our DMs. Can I lick your ass?
Yeah.
Oh, girls, I know all about those kinds of DMs. Oh my God. What are some of the weirdest DMs you guys have gotten?
So this one wasn't a DM. We just got this email that we were reading on our podcast today. We kept the listener's name anonymous, but it was a guy from India who's like essentially like, I am Indian. I'm 5'9" and 30. I don't like Indian people. Will you sponsor me? I work in the US. I come work for you. I have long black cock. And we're like, what is sponsorship?
I know. I was confused. So I didn't ask for more questions.
Like a visa sponsorship.
Yeah, visa sponsorship, I guess. And then we come,
which is very complicated, by the way. So I'm surprised. It's a big ask.
Yeah,
that's a really big ask.
That was a big.
Just tell you, I get like 10 of those a day.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
All the time, every single day, at least one. And yeah, can you please move me out to the US?
So you know what sponsorship means. Okay, so you're talking about visa. Yeah. We're like, what does that mean? Is it like going to be like
technically I already sponsored. My ex-husband was from Israel, and I already sponsored one. So I think I might be a red flag after that. They're like, this bitch is sponsoring a lot of dudes now. That can't happen.
My
anymore.
Ex-husband is English, and I had to sponsor him, which is also why I sort of know about that too.
Yeah. So that could be our reply. We'll just have an automatic responder.
I'm at my max.
We're already at the max. Yeah. Sorry, the government isn't accepting any new applications from me.
I haven't sponsored yet, so maybe
there's still hope for you. Send your applications to 555.
Yeah. Here we go. And what's interesting about our podcast, and I understand why because you're interviewing a lot of folks in the porn industry. And so I am actually surprised that within our now I'm saying this, we're going to get 1 million of these listeners. Do not try to do this. But we actually don't get a lot of dick pics. We don't get a lot of offers from people for sponsorship and things like that. And there's certain times when we've said certain things, such as what I'm saying right now, where all of a sudden we will get a number of them, but we really, don't get a ton of it, and when we do, it's just a little entertaining.
We did this contest, this Masturbation May contest. Now, this is last year. We also did one this year, and our poor intern, aka now she's paid, but our executive assistant is the person that handles looking at our DMs, and she goes, I can't unsee what I saw. And I was like, what's happening? So we did, what was the contest? Was it for Masturbation May,
self-pleasure contest. Self-pleasure for 30 days, 30-day challenge, and we're recording this during Masturbation May still. It's a way to celebrate self-pleasure. And what we ask them to do is for 10 minutes a day to self-pleasure without any sort of additives, just with their hands, with no goals towards orgasm, just to figure out what their body's like an open exploration. For a lot of folks, they're like, that's going to be easy. And for a lot of folks, like, that's really hard. I'm so used to just giving myself for the orgasm really quickly. And we asked them as part of it to send us a photo of themselves anonymous holding a piece of paper over their face that said in 10 words or less what they learned, what their experience was. And a lot of people took advantage of that, and they were like, oh, this is an opportunity to send you my DM.
Just strip dick pics, after pics. Yeah.
Gonna say probably message over the face, but everything else is exposed.
Yes.
With the phone number, call me.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, you know what? We asked for it though. Like, we didn't directly ask for it, but we kind of did.
I just felt like a poor executive assistant was just
all the dick shots.
Yeah. So I haven't personally received a lot because I didn't check those.
You are now after this goes on Holly's podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, what's your Instagram?
So it's Holly Randall Unfiltered. You can screen them, and then if you think it's one that we want to see, send it our way.
Yeah, right.
We do like the DX. So
it's hilarious because my executive assistant actually loves dick pics, and we have this joke where she asks for them a lot, and like she gets very upset because people don't send them to her.
Oh.
We do this bonus podcast called My LA Porn Life just on my Patreon. And she's always like, where are the dick pics at? And people will send her like a picture of like Dick Cheney.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like to be funny. And she's always like, why don't I get the dick pics? I'm like, I don't know.
The one person asking for them is not getting the dick pics. Because so there's the psychology behind it. Who does it? Justin Lehmiller. I don't know if you've had him on your podcast before, but he was talking about the psychology behind the dick pic. And there is something about the exhibitionist, almost like flashery, you're not expecting it, that it's not for everyone. Yeah, you don't want it. So it's a little more exciting and exhilarating versus like, oh, you asked for it? Yeah, it's not as exciting.
I'm an analyzer of all the things except for the dick. So I look at like the background. Holly, maybe you do this because from your photography standpoint, because you talk about lighting, I look at the background. If they're in the bathroom and there's shit all over there, I'm like, oh, no, not going to happen. I would not be into, we told you about this at when you were on our show, when my current partner had been hooking up with Amy before I ever knew him. And they had hooked up a couple of times. And Amy was also, you were single and having fun, and she was communicating with him, and he sent her a video. Meanwhile, she doesn't really enjoy looking at the dick vids.
I don't mind dick vids or dick pics. I'm not into the actual ejaculation unless it's in person. It's just not my jam over video or photo, but in person with someone I'm intimate with, I think it's super sexy. So it was a video. So I was like, April, you don't know this guy.
Yes, look at this.
You got to watch it to make sure there's no money shot in here because it's not really my jam over video.
So then I watched it and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, Amy, it's about 8 o'clock at night right now. This is a pre-recorded dick vid because it's daytime.
And he sent this to 80 other people.
Yeah. So then I sent him back this cat taking a shower, and I said, do you like my wet pussy?
he thinks that was for me, but then it was from her, his future girlfriend. So that was perfect.
Oh my God.
So anyway, that was it.
So when you got together, you already saw his dick.
I did. Great? I told him that. I was like, I already saw your penis. Looks nice.
Very nice.
That's April, I'm so with you on that. Like if somebody sends me a picture from a messy room, or I see girls post like selfies of them and their house is a mess, it like makes me want to throw up. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Make your fucking bed. Like, cause that's all I see. That's all I see is.
Well, have you ever seen those, I don't know who does it, if it's BuzzFeed or some online where they take like the worst selfies ever. And there's like women with like shit in the toilet, like posing and like literally you can see the stuff in the toilet. And there's other ones that like a pack of, diapers and a dude like ejaculate. I don't remember what site it was. I saw this a couple of years ago, which I'm like, wait. Yeah, I swear.
What selfie is someone sitting out when there's a dude ejaculating on a stack of diapers in the background? Like, where is this? I need to see this picture.
I just shared a fetish now.
He wasn't thinking, it's adult diaper fetish actually was what was really going on.
Some Pampers.
Yeah, they need to take your what is your class, Holly, that you do
my workshop.
Yes. Yeah, they need to take your workshop. You need to help these people out real quick.
Know, right? So have you guys seen those like kind of secret naked selfies where people will take a picture and they'll post it on Craigslist like they're trying to sell the item, like a tea kettle. And if you look carefully at the reflection, it's somebody naked reflected in the tea kettle that you wouldn't catch, like obviously like a chrome tea kettle, unless you are actually looking.
Are they really trying to sell the tea kettle, or are they trying to flash you?
They're trying to flash you, but like in a really subtle way, and upload it to, like a website like Craigslist. Well, actually, who knows what you expect on Craigslist, but you know what I mean? Like somewhere where you're not looking for dick pics.
See, that creatively would be more of a turn on for me. If someone sent me that,
you're like, brilliant, you got me.
I would think about their creativity and their artistic ability and probably be getting a little bit tingly and wet underneath. I'd be like, that's some real, that you took some time.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's all about the effort, right?
Yeah. They got you in that one. I'd be like, you know what? It's a little bit like you definitely maybe crossed the boundary because I didn't consent to that, but you got me, and that was quite intelligent. Well done.
Yeah. So really, guys, it's about the intelligent dick pics. That's what we're looking for. Just, we don't want the run of the mill, in your bedroom, like kind of dick pics. We'd like something creative.
Yes, please. Thank you.
That's all it comes down to. Have you guys seen that blog, Things My Dick Does?
I don't think
no.
so.
Wait, is it
where
the
the guy like draws? Yeah, he draws on his penis like it's a person.
Yes.
Like a little stick figure.
I
and he,
love
puts
that.
it in outfits and
Yes.
stuff like that. It's really cute.
Adorable.
It is probably one of the most entertaining things for when looking at penises that I've ever seen, because the penis will be when he's sick or something, and he's like, and he's all slumped over as with some ejaculate coming out, and then he puts a little hat and a scarf on him, and then he will draw little. Yes, I'm so happy that you.
I wonder what the dick's doing during coronavirus. Bored.
No, probably so much material.
No. I mean, but the actual setting up what the dick is going through these times.
Many margaritas
on Zoom again, on a Zoom call again. Not again. Getting all zoomed out.
Speaking of, since this is just the topic that just naturally seems to come up, how have you guys been handling quarantine?
It's been going. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. It's a mixed bag. I can speak for myself personally. I've gone through all the motions of freaking out and trying to control everything, and I can't see anyone and we didn't see each other for over a month, which is very hard for us because we're used to seeing each other a couple times a week, and we're business partners. So we were even seeing each other only over Zoom, and so to me, it's been a roller coaster. There's been a lot of good stuff. It's felt like a much slower, much less social version of everyday life. And what I'm seeing is I have nowhere to run and hide from myself. I still can. I can drink wine and run and hide. And I'm constantly confronted with my shit that it was much easier to run from it when I could do all my things, go to hot yoga and go to all the social gatherings. And so the blessing is that I am feeling a lot of feels that needed to be felt, and I can't hide from them as much as I used to. And the challenge is it's just really hard. Super hard. The
challenge is also that you have to do all of this. You're feeling. Yeah. So it's
there it is.
It's a blessing and a challenge. Yeah. April, what about you?
Well, one of my girlfriends who went through a severe postpartum stretch after her first baby said that this shelter in place, I call it SIP because I love some acronyms.
SIP.
She's like, SIP has me. SIP. SIP has me. No, she said SIP is the version of everyone in the world feeling postpartum isolation after childbirth because right? You don't want people in and out of your house. You don't really leave. And I don't have children. And so for me, that really sat with me. And I definitely will be more supportive after you have a baby. Call me, Holly, if you want to talk, because I want to be more supportive to people that I've been traveling internationally, as you mentioned in the bio, with not only with Hot Octopus, even before that, I've been in the sex toy industry since 2008, and travel has been one of the most, not only just a solid soul feeding thing for me, completing me, but it's part of my identity. Just experiencing, as I'm in Europe and Australia and New Zealand and South Africa, I'll go to all of these countries that I normally wouldn't maybe have been able to see. And now I am sheltering in place. I haven't been home this long since I was 17. And It's really a shift for me that I didn't expect to be as difficult. I took up candle making. I can make a mean sourdough loaf. I can probably fix a car that is, no, I can't do that.
She can't do that yet.
I can change an oil, being outside. 70s oil, if there's a car from the 70s. But I would say that overall, I thought my sex was going to be really amazing too. And my partner and I was like, dude, just don't touch me right now. I've already seen so much of you, and
I'm good.
I'm going to go masturbate maybe in the shower.
Are you masturbating more?
No, not really.
Well,
sometimes it depends on the day.
Yeah.
So it's ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And I have to tell you, and I'm sure everybody collectively is feeling this, it's a challenge. Mm-hmm. And for those folks that are able to, I always worked from home, so that wasn't really out of the norm. It was more or less the lack of anything to look forward to, like the trips so that's been challenging. And I don't know, sex is something that I think people didn't focus on at all. And when we tried to help people and challenge them to have more self-pleasure via our social media channels, we had some, what would you say, lacerating words from some people, like sex shouldn't be important right now. People are dying.
We're all focused on surviving. Sex is the last thing we're thinking about. And I was like, well, speak for yourself. I know plenty of people that sex is their medicine right now in terms of feeling connected to their bodies, to their partners, to feeling something other than this other thing. So it's some folks, sex isn't on the table for them, and that's okay. Your energy is going in some other direction. And for some folks, it's their medicine or their escape.
It was really important for me for about a month, and then I just got over it because I was like, dude, my partner's irritating me.
Change.
How about you, Holly? Has it been a nice shift for you and your partner, or were you always kind of in that range?
Well, so before we talk about me, I just want to mention something. I mean,
she's with podcasters.
I am my favorite subject. It's fine. We can spend this whole. I mean, if you guys just want to interview me for this whole podcast, I'll be fine with that. No, but I just wanted to comment on what you said about people getting angry, saying we're focused on surviving, like. I mean, but what exactly does that mean? Okay, so really, unless you're a nurse or a doctor or an essential worker, there's nothing you can do in this quarantine to focus on surviving except for staying at home, right? And like not going out there and spreading COVID-19. So unless they mean that all that energy needs to go towards watching CNN way too much or Fox News, whatever your preference is, freaking out about the future of the planet, the future of the economy, the future of your job, having a complete emotional breakdown, or using this opportunity to slow down, connect with yourself, connect with your bodies, connect with your partner, like you guys said, like it just seems, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that anger, I think also too, a lot of people are really angry right now and scared. And so they're directing that anger and that fear kind of at anybody that seems like an easy target. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The fear mentality is difficult though.
And strong.
And it's strong. And then it shifts into this anger thing. And yes, Amy and I did get a little bit of that. It's dissipated now. So, which is helpful. And we had really good feedback and a lot of people that participated in our masturbation May contest this month, which was awesome. And we're thankful and had a lot of appreciation and gratitude for it. So, it's a conversation, right? And hopefully it's
constantly changing.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to get better
moment to moment. I think before this, life was always changing, obviously, but now it literally is changing every moment to moment, including people's moods. It's constant.
Yeah, my husband actually mentioned a phrase that he read somewhere that I thought made a lot of sense, was quarantine fatigue. Like people are getting sick of sheltering in place, which is why you're starting to see, with the beaches reopening, at least here, beaches are reopening and there's all these pictures of people on the beach not wearing masks. I mean, you're not supposed to be sitting on the beach. You're allowed to walk on the beach or engage in like activities on the beach, but you're not supposed to sit on the beach and you're supposed to wear a mask, and like nobody's following those rules. So there's a lot of talk about that. But back to your question.
In Wisconsin too, though. People in Wisconsin, they're like, we don't give a shit. I'm from Wisconsin originally. I'm like, dude, y'all need to do something. And come on.
And it's been interesting to see the different reactions. I think it's an interesting study in human behavior.
It's a social experiment for sure. 100%. So, but back to you. I wanted to hear that.
But back to me. Let's not forget about me. No, I'm just kidding. It's been great for me. It's a weird time, but I think also like strangely a good time for me to be pregnant because I can't shoot, which is pretty stressful. My days are really long, sometimes like 18-hour days if I'm shooting a feature movie. It's hot and just like hard on my body and also hard on me mentally. So I can't do any of that, which stresses me out. So that's kind of been good for me. And it's enabled me to focus on my podcast, focus on marketing, focus on my YouTube channel. So it's been like the timing actually was kind of perfect for me. It's strange how that works, but I'm also looking forward to, I don't know if the world will ever get back to a real normal, but something along those lines.
Well, it's prepping you for the birth of your child too, because it's probably going to be similar, right? Meaning you won't be able to.
I know. It's kind of ironic. I had a meeting yesterday with my main client and a bunch of other directors about when we were going to go back to shooting. And there's all these parameters that they want in place first. And I was like, man, by the time we go back to shooting, like I'll be going on maternity leaves. Like, it's going to be like a whole year that I don't shoot. It's going to be crazy. But anyways.
I have a friend that lives in the Caribbean who just found out she was pregnant 2 or 3 months ago. And she's really stoked to be pregnant right now. So she's like, I'm not getting the FOMO of missing all the events and things because, you know, they're not even happening. And so I can just be at home and relax. So it's actually feeling like a blessing for her during this time. It's just like perfect timing for her.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I have a lot of friends who just had a baby or are pregnant right now. And it's, it's kind of like a strange blessing. So, all right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. If you're here, it's probably because you're a fan of my podcast, Holly Randall Unfiltered. Well, that's great because I'm a fan of my podcast too. Now, if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a crowdfunding platform that allows people to make contributions on a monthly basis. Because this podcast costs money to make, maybe even more so than others. I'm obsessed with quality. So since the beginning, I have always recorded in a studio, had a professional sound engineer, and recorded professional video. All of these things cost money, as you can imagine. And I also made a pretty scary decision this year to cut down on my directing gigs so that I could focus more on this podcast, which is why I need your help now more than ever. But don't worry, I'm not asking you to give me something for nothing. In exchange for your contributions, I offer so many perks. For example, access to the live streams of all of my interviews, a bonus podcast that I do called My LA Porn Life, Q&As where the stars answer your specific questions, behind the scenes interviews, merchandise such as mugs, shirts, and stickers, access to my private Snapchat, and so much more. You can join for as little as $5 a month and help me change the way the world sees the adult industry and sex work. So take a look around and see everything that I have to offer. I really hope that you'll join and be a part of our little community. Okay, we are back. So, Amy, one thing that I noticed about you is something that like you and I have in common, which I feel like is unusual. You started your online, the store that is now online, your pleasure boutique with your mom.
Yes. Yep.
So obviously people who know my history know that I used to work for my mom. My mom is the one who got me into the adult industry. So how did that all come about? Did you always have I'm assuming you have a pretty liberal mother. Like how was your conversations about sex growing up and all of that?
My mom, so she grew up in Los Angeles. My dad is from Santa Cruz, and I'm fifth generation Santa Cruzian. And if you met both of them, you'd be like, you were married once, makes no sense. But my mom has always been very liberal, open-minded, and my messages around sex. And my dad he's definitely not liberal. He's somewhat open-minded, but when it comes to sex, he's pretty relaxed about it. And so my upbringing was very much about my dad just he just doesn't give a fuck, meaning there's like the blessing in that he wasn't trying to, you can't date till you're 18 and sex is bad. Didn't get any of that. But the downside is that he didn't really care. And so I had a lot of freedom in that way. And my mom did care, but she always taught me, not when it came to pleasure. We didn't have a lot of conversations around pleasure, but the messages that I got from her was that sex wasn't bad, wasn't shameful, and that it was a natural thing that I would do probably as a teenager. And so way before I was sexually active, she gave me the book, Our Bodies, Ourselves. She brought me to a gynecologist way before I was sexually active to get my first gynecological exam, which was somewhat scary. And just because I'm like, what is this? And she also told me way before sexually active that when I wanted to become sexually active, I could come to her and get on birth control. So that already showed me that it was safe to talk to her about these things, that sex wasn't bad. I could have boyfriends in my bedroom because they preferred that I would do that at home safely as opposed to out in the backseat of a car. But I didn't get conversations. There wasn't information around pleasure. I really wish I had that. Obviously, that's not in comprehensive sex education or in the public school system. It's all about what not to do, what to what to do in terms of STIs, STDs, pregnancy, anatomy, but never about pleasure, orgasm. And as a vulva owner, the pleasure that I was capable of experiencing and that I could ask for from partners, I had to learn that through trial and error. So while that wasn't there, I still am very grateful for the messages that I got. And opening up a sex shop with my mom was never part of the plan. I did go to school for psychology and human sexuality because I had a lot of questions. I was confused. What is this body of mine and how does it work? And why am I having these experiences that don't feel good? And why is it so scary to ask for what I want? I don't even know what I want. And there's a whole realm of education that I can go down. I really loved learning about it, and I did have a knack for talking more openly than a lot of other folks, and decided to open up an adult store, not necessarily with my mom in mind. I saw Good Vibrations in San Francisco and loved that it was sex positive, that they weren't closeting sex. It wasn't just toys in the back room. It wasn't just porn racks everywhere. They were educators and they did workshops. And I saw that and I came home and I was like, Mom, we should open up one of these in Santa Cruz. And my mom was like, really? Me? A sex shop? That sounds crazy. And I was like, yeah, no, you could just be behind the scenes. I'll be, work the retail floor.
She was like a travel agent at the time, too.
Yeah. She was in travel industry, and then before that, the loan industry. And anyway, so we opened, and she ended up being, number one, great at working with people. She was on the retail floor as much as me, if not more. She was a natural at it. And two, it was very rewarding for her. It helped her to embrace more of her sexuality, her empowerment. Also, it brought us closer together in a lot of ways where all of a sudden we were talking about pleasure. We're selling dildos side by side. So now we can talk more about pleasure in our own experiences. Of course, as the daughter, I have a little less of a tolerance for my mom to all of a sudden come to me and be like, so the other night I had sex with my boyfriend and the tissue was my skin's so raw from him. Like, no, raw, too much. No. You are the mom. You can talk about sex, but the raw is just one step too far.
Yeah.
It just was part of it. Maybe you experienced some of that too, but I am so grateful that we did that and still do that together now online. I couldn't ask for a better business partner, and I'm so grateful for what it's done for our closeness.
April, what about you? What was your, how did you grow up around, what was sex like growing up for you? And what was your experience, and what were you taught about sex?
So I wasn't ever. I grew up, as I mentioned, in Wisconsin in the Midwest, very conservative, not conservative as in this sort of right-wing conservancy kind of thing where it was just not talked about in my family. My parents divorced at a really young age. My mother, she was pregnant with my brother very early on and struggled with a lot of her own insecurities that she still struggles with today, unfortunately. And it was don't ask kind of thing. And then I guess I was really the tomboy that hung out with a lot of guys. I had an older brother, and I related more to boys than I did ever to girls at the time, right? That was just easy for me. And then I started realizing when I grew some boobs that I could, I don't want to say use those, but that I could kind of flirt and get the attention. And then I had this thing about sex because I had only heard about people slut shaming, right? It was the 90s. And if you sleep with dudes, you're going to be a slut and then you're going to get pregnant. That was what I knew. I didn't know about birth control. I knew about condoms, and I knew about the Plan B that had just come out that I could take in case I thought I was pregnant. And so I was saving myself. And then I met this college dude and had ended up hooking up with him. And then my mom finally, I went to Planned Parenthood by myself and got birth control because I knew that I didn't want to be like my mother, who was this unhappy. She had been a teenage mother, and I just was hoping that would never be my. Not that there's anything wrong with it. For me, I knew that I've never wanted children. I probably have been babysitting kids since I was 10, so I was always knew that I wanted my own life and to make my own way. And so I went and got birth control by myself, and then my mom. Finally, the only reason she actually found out that I was sexually active, because I was 16, I just had turned 17, and I had been with this college guy that I was madly in love with. And obviously the pressure was on for me to have sex for the first time. And I wanted to, and I really loved him. And then I got an STD right after I had sex for the first time, which was really, and my mom had taken me into the gynecologist, a man gynecologist. And because it was an emergency situation, and my mom had to wait outside in the waiting room, and I was in there for 2.5 hours. And the guy was like, it was such a traumatic experience because there was no nurse in the room, right? It was just me and him, which I don't know if that doesn't happen anymore. And he did his little swab and then said, yes, you have an STD and whoever you're with is lying to you. And I was like, where's my mom? I'm 17. My mom finally gets into the room, and he had to tell her that I had this disease. And then my mom told me my life was over and I've ruined my life. And so sex to me was I'd never had a lot of education around it. I did really well in anatomy. I would get A+ in anatomy and sex ed. I was only educated about abstinence, and that obviously wasn't a thing that I was even into. I had guys that had gone down on me. I'd never given a blowjob because I had trauma around that too when I was like 14. So that was like off the table for me. So sex was just, it was me sort of trial and error, caution to the wind, figuring it out, and knowing that if I wanted to keep that college guy as my boyfriend, I had to sleep with him. So that's what I did. But I didn't talk to anyone about it. And then after that, my mom, telling me my life was over was really difficult. And then obviously knowing now what I knew then, meeting Amy and her saying to me how she thought I'd be so awesome at this job. I was studying law. I was going to be a lawyer. I have a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Law, and I was starting to take the LSATs, working at a restaurant, meeting Amy, who was this really empowered woman. I mean, she was almost 21, and I had talked to her about this party I'd been spanked at, and she thought it was the coolest thing. And I just moved up to California after I graduated from college, and was just trying to find myself, and her thinking that I would be this awesome human in the sex toy realm was really interesting for me. And she's been sort of my messiah of sex, because she's really guided me at
I want to bring her everywhere. I'm like, if I go anywhere in the sex toy industry, you come with me. Here we go.
I hadn't even had anal sex. Like, I was working in the store, and I would just research everything that I could about anal sex. Because obviously, when you're a lawyer, you research, right? That's what was. So I was researching. So I watched every porn and every every video on instruction about anal. And I was like, oh, I am the anus right now. And so people would come in, and I sold more butt plugs, I think, than anyone else.
Never tried it. Really good at selling it.
I never had anal sex. And so stuff like that. So I just slowly, and then I just felt that even now I talk to my mom about sex. I'll be like, Mom, so how is it going? How's your sex life? I'll send her sex toys. And she's just like, oh, Dr. No, April, and it's difficult for me to.
Oh, April.
Oh, April.
I can't do accent.
April. It's your mom.
Yeah.
I don't get it in the asshole, April. And I'm like, why not, Mom? Try it out. Here's a butt plug.
You should get it in the asshole, Mom.
Yeah, it's good for you. So that's how my relationship with sex has been. Probably it's come to its maturity after I was in my mid to late 20s, right? And I had very a boring sexual experience other than with myself. I'd been masturbating since I was 5 years old. I started masturbating, not knowing it was masturbation. I was super sexual. We had sexological body work done on each of us separately. And Amy had this whole different experience. And so I think I went first. And after we were comparing, and the sexological body worker, after she had been feeling, they kind of do this whole process. It's very cool and amazing. And she said, Dolly Joseph, who's been on our show a few times, she said that the way my clitoris is placed and all my bits, that I am DTF. And I was like, I'm down to fuck. You're right. I'm like, I've been that way since I was born. And then she said Amy was like a fucking Rubik's Cube. You know?
She's like, your clitoris is like its own little world. And what she's saying is my clitoris is higher up in terms of its closeness to the vaginal canal, and April's is much closer, and it's kind of all just there in one area. And so she was saying that through that the nerve endings for her be more condensed all in one place.
Like, I can wear a pair of pants and get turned on.
And I'm more like, I'm real difficult to how much time you got.
That's why I just don't wear underwear anymore. You know, it's just too hard for me.
So could the anatomy of your vagina then maybe, April, for you, be responsible for you being able to get off easier during like intercourse? Or is that like a G-spot thing? Because I can't come from penetration. I've never been able to do that.
Same. I need external stimulation. I'm an external person, but all of my, so when I was masturbating, I was humping my teddy bear when I was 5, right? That was what it was. And then humping the neighbor girls when they would let me, because it's like, no, it's okay.
Just the girls.
No, the dudes weren't there yet. That came later. So that was something that for me, I didn't know that it was even masturbation because no one ever talked to me about it. And yeah, that was something that I didn't realize. And as you mentioned, internal penetration is difficult for me as well to get an orgasm from. I need mostly external.
But
like
I think with your anatomy, with April's anatomy, with have everything more condensed, that potential through grinding, she might be able to hit the clitoris more easily than someone such as myself, where the clitoris is much higher. So I have to find more specific angles or use a finger or different things. And I can still have it from grinding too, but I think that's what Dolly was saying to her, why she's DTF, is that it is just more condensed. And so different positions can actually access the external anatomy during penetration more easily than perhaps mine would.
Well, I also have labia damage though. So on one of my labia, was ripped in half. Same dude that I first slept with.
Love that guy.
We used a condom. I don't remember why. And it was like drunken 18-year-old sex, and my labia ripped in half. So I lost so there's some nerve endings obviously in your vulva, but I lost a lot of the feeling. I had to be stitched up. The doctors, it was 3 a.m. in Pennsylvania, and I had to be carted off in an ambulance at 3 a.m. and think about I was still on my dad's insurance. And he goes, why did you need an ambulance at 3 a.m. is when you were in Pennsylvania? I was like, I fell on a stick. It was a stick that was unlubricated and it had a condom on it.
Attached to a human.
Yeah. And I had to walk with a limp for about a month. God. So that also took away some of the ability for me to actually
trauma to heal.
It was trauma, yes, which was a lot for me. And so I had a lot of shame around my sexuality for a long time. I thought I was broken. I thought no one would ever love me. I had this STD. I had this scar. I was like Al Capone on my vagina, my vulva. I was like Al Capone. And it was like everyone was scared. And
oh my God, I'm forever thinking of your pussy.
It turns out, now. Well, he had 2 scars. I only had 1. Okay.
How's Al doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah.
I think that makes you guys like a really interesting dynamic though, April, you having grown up in a more conservative environment where you were taught that female sexuality was like which so many of us have, a commodity, a kind of like trading chip, something that you hold on to and you sell to the highest bidder. You had to have sex with that college guy just to keep him rather than have sex with him because you wanted to have sex with him and you wanted to derive pleasure from it. And then Amy, you coming from a more liberal background with more education in sex, and you guys kind of like, so it's good because it seems to me like, April, you can kind of talk from a perspective of coming into your own and learning about sex. And then Amy, you being kind of more established in that whole realm. I think that's a great dynamic. So Amy, you're also a sex and relationship coach. You mentioned this earlier when we first started about is it the Somatica method or the Somatic Method?
Somatica, yeah.
Somatica Method. Can you tell us about exactly what that is?
Yeah, Somatica was created by 2 women who are badass entrepreneurs.
Amazing.
They're amazing at what they do. They were sexological body workers. So, and sexological body workers for that type of work, for those of you who don't know, is is its own sex coaching practice, but it's embodied, involves a lot of hands-on healing, and it's clinical and it's very much consent-based. It's a really beautiful practice. We recommend on our podcast anyone who's going through a lot of sexual trauma that involves the body keeping the score. There's a book on that, The Body's Brilliant. It remembers trauma. We often recommend that they go work with a sexological body worker to work through that trauma. Sex and relationship coaching is a little different. The Somatic Method that they developed. So they wanted to combine the sexological body work training or their education there with more of an intimate relationship with the client. They thought that sexological body work, well, it needed to be more clinical because it was hands-on touch, often on genitals, that it was missing the intimate relationship healing that could happen through, a therapist or practitioner with a client. And because we know now in the psychology world that in order to heal old relational wounds through attachment wounds and things that happen in our childhood with parents or other partners, etc., it has to be in an experiential context. We could read all the books and understand all of where our wounds came from, but we have to have the actual embodied experience of something different. That experience of what we wanted, how we really wanted someone to show up when the first hurt or wound happened. So they created this practice that does not involve touching genitals. It's fully clothed. It is still very intimate and embodied in that when you work with a client, you invite their arousal into a session and to show them that it is not shameful to feel aroused, even working with your therapist. And I'm not a licensed therapist, so technically speaking, actually bringing that to licensed therapy, a little different rules. So I took that training, and now I work with clients privately, was in person, and now it's all online. Although it was transitioning more online anyways, because through the podcast, work with people all over the country. And it's very much about giving them permission to be who they are as sexual beings and to break down, this is what our podcast does too, break down all of the rules around who we should or shouldn't be around sexual beings, except for, of course, about consent, because our motto is all consensual sex is good sex. And for people to find out who they really are. And I think permission, acceptance, normalizing, a lot of normalizing, and them practicing having conversations about sex, and then embodied practices, both when we're working together and then also on their own to tap into their arousal and to get more clear on who they are as sexual beings. So maybe they never knew, or maybe they did know and they had some stuff that happened that made it so that they lost it or created new stories about who they needed to change to be, to conform, to survive or to feel loved. Like April's talking about, she needed to have sex with that college guy to not lose the love. And by the way, Holly, I had a very open-minded upbringing. I still had that shit too. I still had that I need to caretake men's emotions so that I don't lose the love.
Oh, I feel like all women, all deal with that.
It's just part of it. Yeah. So it's been a journey for me as well too. And, taking these trainings helps me to work with clients, but also has helped me to shift and grow on my own. It's been my own healing journey as well.
That's amazing. April, so you are vice president of Hot Octopus, and this is a very inclusive company. You guys have sex toys for trans and non-binary people geared towards various surgeries that they have. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's something that's kind of unusual in most sex toy companies. I feel like most sex toy companies go either for, just the typical gender roles, women and men, but it seems like you guys are reaching out to all the different variants. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And obviously, inclusivity has been something that's huge for me. I worked with Fun Factory before I started with Hot Octopus. I only started with Hot Octopus in 2017. And at the time, I met the founder, Adam Lewis, and actually both of the founders, Adam Lewis and Julia Margot. I met them in 2013 with Amy at Las Vegas at, one of the conventions, and loved them. And they had one product that Adam is the founder, and he is by self-proclaimed, and also I'm comfortable saying this because he's given me permission. He is an avid wanker, but loved frenulum stimulation, right? So frenulum stimulation is something that folks don't think about when they think about stroking a penis. A lot of times it's that, I call it the caveman style of they gotta go, mom's gonna come, they're stroking,
fast
and
right?
hard, hurry up, fast and hard. And he loved frenulum stimulation. So he wanted.
And what exactly is that?
So frenulum is so we have our lingual frenulum, which is attached our tongue to the webbing, that's the tongue to the mouth, right? The penile frenulum is the head underneath the head. There's this area that also is a type of webbing, and there's 4,000 nerve endings in the head of the penis. That's why it's the most sensitive part. I call it the clitoris of the penis because I'm a vulva owner. I own a clitoris, so I can relate in that way. So
vulva owner.
Yeah.
It's like a vulva, like a Volvo owner, like car.
I don't own a Volvo, but I own a vulva. And Adam loved frenulum stimulation. So he was masturbating for many years, and he's comfortable with me saying this as well. He was taking a sock, a bullet vibe, those little bullet vibes they're pretty cheap. They're, his wife's bullet vibe, and a rubber band, putting it on his frenulum, turning it on. And it was like this hands-free masturbator that he made. And then he felt really he felt ashamed about it. And he was doing nothing in the sex toy realm, ended up starting to look at products out there from the sex toy industry. There was nothing that was for the penis owners that if they wanted a masturbator. The only company that was making anything for frenulums was a medical device company out of Denmark, and they were making products that were focused on frenulum stimulation using an oscillator. And hopefully this is easy enough to understand. Oscillation causes involuntary ejaculation in penis owners. So you put an oscillator on, which is more of this motor that goes in this circular fashion rather than a vibrating motor, which is like, brrr. It's more of like, hua, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Hopefully you get what I'm throwing down. If not, you can go on our website. But you put this on, and at a specific amplitude, even if you've had a spinal cord injury, or if you have ED, or if you have little to no use of your penis, you can actually have an ejaculation with this device. They were using it in Denmark on folks with spinal cord injury so they could have children.
Wow. So
Adam ended up contacting these people, and they licensed us this technology, this oscillating pulse plate technology for pleasure. So him and Jules developed this masturbator that was like this automatic masturbator. And so when I met them, they only had this one product, and we hit it off, and they were awesome. And slowly, I came on board in 2017. They had two products, both for the penis owners. However, research had not only talked about folks that had any motor skill issues, or folks that were having disabilities that had no use of their penis could benefit from Hot Octopuss products, but they found that folks that in the trans community, so we have folks that have they've been doing a lot clitoral elongation, or so we're talking folks have had some maybe they're wanting to explore using different devices that aren't out there, so pumping the clitoris or different hormones. So this device can also be used in the trans community to help with an orgasm. Now we've evolved into making a line that is more inclusive for vulva owners. We're also going to create some toys for the anus. We're also, I talk about anal all day, so I'm sorry. It comes up every time.
All right.
So, and then we have this non-binary just link on our website. So if you are a person that doesn't want gendered pronouns, you don't want he, she, you can click non-binary, and everything will go into they, them. And
cool. I didn't know that.
You can also get non-gendered packaging. We'll ship it to you without some of our products. The packaging just has, the imagery of a penis, right? Not, it's a icon. So you can understand how to put on the cock ring, right? It's designed for a penis owner, but you will receive that product without gendered packaging. And we just we're evolving, and I've helped to bring a lot of the inclusivity piece, because it's important for me to think about all humans. Why just focus on penis owners when that is not the broad spectrum? And it was a niche product for a long time, the Pulse products, but now Hot Octopuss has really, I believe, been the pioneer in making inclusivity just more important in the sex toy industry. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. And it's shameless masturbation. And so they are such an advocate for what Amy and I are doing with our podcast too. So it's just awesome. And I feel like the product is really, not only has it changed people's lives, but it's really just an important piece that came from the medical side. We can't make medical claims, by the way, so it will not guarantee you anything. However, it is definitely based on 9 years of medical research. So thank you for asking me that question, though. I appreciate that, and it's a good one.
Yeah. My feedback from my audience has been that, I've taught them a lot about the adult industry and about humanizing people in the adult industry. And they've learned a lot about porn and behind the scenes. And it feels really great to help educate people. And you guys, obviously, as educators, have educated tons of people. I know you guys have a big audience on pleasure and shameless sex and all those kinds of things. But for me, I've felt that, if anything, one of the greatest gifts of my podcast has been how much I've learned from my guests and my audience as well. So what has been like maybe the greatest gift for you with your podcast? Like, what has it taught you maybe about people, about sex, that kind of thing?
I'm constantly pleasantly surprised and super stoked on all of these educators who have developed various formulas or methodologies, concepts on working with sex and relationships with folks. I remember even before the podcast learning about the love languages, and which was really applicable, at least for me, in relationship with partners, where I'm like, why am I going crazy? My partner, I haven't seen them in 5 days, and we are still connecting like 5 times a day, and we have half an hour conversations, and I can feel their love. Oh, because my love language is touch. And you really can't replicate that from afar over FaceTime. And or we had Jaya on our podcast, and she developed something called the erotic blueprints, which talks about how there's different ways that all of us are wanting to feel or do feel our arousal and feel our turn on. And we live in a society that thinks it's all about sex. I see a naked body, you touch me, I should be turned on. When in fact, sexual is one of them. There's also sensual, there's also kinky, there's shapeshifter, there's energetic. And in that I learned, holy shit, I'm an energetic. Like, just seeing a naked body, it's cool, but it's all about the energy of the way the person shows up. And I'm not broken, and I am completely normal. I'm just different from someone who might be asexual or a sensual. And so for me, I think I'm constantly seeing these different ways that we can apply this to our everyday lives. And they're teaching us that we're all so different, but that's not what we're taught. And we're trying to fit in this little cookie cutter, this little box idea of who we should be, or in the words of Emily Nagoski, who wrote Come As We Are, she also came on our podcast, who taught us that we live in a very penis-centric model, we love porn as entertainment. We don't love porn unless it's educational porn as the educator to go learn how to do anal or how to do the threesome. And it also taught us a lot about taught a lot of folks about how to have sex, and a lot of it isn't geared towards necessarily what your everyday vulva owner likes. And so I just love these conversations that are teaching people that they're okay, and that they just need to figure out who they really are and what are the formulas that they can apply to their everyday life to discover more about what works for them. And so I'm seeing that for our listeners, and also for myself. It's just been life-changing, and it continues to be. So I didn't know when we signed up the podcast to do this, we didn't sign up like, oh, we're doing this for us so that we can learn more. It was more like, this is a fun passion project that we're going to do. And we'll have this offering for other people, but it really has turned into our own journey, or at least my own journey as well.
Right. April, how about you?
Amy nailed it with a lot of my feelings as well. And one thing that we talked about at the beginning when we first started was because people had said that, well, won't you run out of things to talk about? Won't you run out of things to educate people on? And the answer is absolutely not. And the thing that I think it resonates with me so deeply is that there's not a one size fits all approach. There's 7.8 billion people on the planet now, all with their own experiences, with their own stories, and with their own stuff that they're bringing and their own blockages, right? And I think that it's so powerful to have all of these experts on that we're interviewing that have done research, or that have created methodologies, or that have created platforms where folks can get help or support and do what fits with what their experience was, to try to help them work through whatever why they thought they were broken, which is, you know, where I've come from, I guess. That, and it sits with me also in this way that is so powerful and life-changing, that I'm not broken, right? After thinking I was for so long, and then listening to people and talking to therapists and doctors and knowing that I'm not broken. There's no way from my experiences that any of you all listening are broken either. We are all fucking capable of experiencing pleasure or of healing some of the things that might stray us away from tapping into our pleasure. And I also, right, I had so much compliant sex in my life, and so much. And I think learning about honoring my own needs, and I think it translates to our folks that listen to us, because I also go through the same learning processes. She is a fierce educator and is always on this mission to learn more. And I respect her, and I also soak up the knowledge that she gains in her studious endeavor, because I don't do that. I help run this company, the sex toy company, so I don't have the space. And she is so absolutely gifted at helping tune into people's needs. And I've learned so much from her as well. And to know that we're on this mission together, and I'm learning with our listeners, and also learning about some wooey shit that, and I swear a lot, I'm so sorry, but so learning about some wooey shit where I'm like, I'm really tapping into my
gems and crystals,
inner pussy right now. Like,
her yoni,
which is great. I meditate yoni, and I do the things that are somewhat wooey, but yes, it's been interesting for me to learn with our listeners, because again, I came from this very conservative Midwestern, no way, meditation was bad. That lets the evil spirits in.
The devil comes in.
But it's not Southern accent. It's that lets those evil spirits in.
Don't you know?
That's Minnesota.
So, wrong place.
So I appreciate that. I think that our listeners really do feel a sense of our authenticity when it comes to both of our experiences. And we never claim to have the answers. And sometimes we're like, we are not telling you to leave your wife, because we've had some feedback where people are like, I hate those girls. They told me to leave my wife. And we're like, no, that's not what we were offering you.
No.
So I'm sorry that you heard that. Maybe that's something you didn't want to hear, but maybe you should listen to that inner voice.
Selective hearing.
Yes, we don't should anyone. We say, hey, these are some of the things that you can apply that are available.
You choose.
And you choose. It's choose your own adventure for fixing your sex life. And Amy's partner, actually, who she's partnered with now, it's awesome. He was married and tapped into Shameless Sex to try to fix his marriage or help fix his marriage.
It didn't work. The marriage still
didn't work, obviously. And
I win, though.
He recognized her at a hot yoga class and was like, Shameless Sex. And she's like, yeah. And then they now are partnered and experiencing each other. And it was so funny because obviously it wasn't the work of our podcast not working for him. It was because there's two people, right? In every relationship, maybe three, maybe four in every partnership. And it's not up to you alone. It's you doing the work on yourself that's only going to help bring your partnership and your sexuality to the next level. And we just have a platform to help you get there. So yeah.
That is awesome. That's amazing. Well, I think you guys are great, and you're doing so much for the conversation around sex, which sorely needs to be had. If someone has never listened to Shameless Sex, is there a specific episode that you would recommend maybe they start off with? Do you have like a favorite that they should check out, or should they just go pick one?
I'm going to go with the one I talked about earlier, Jaya's episode, also because I know the number, but it's a phenomenal episode. It's number 126. It's on erotic blueprints. She's an amazing educator. Our minds were blown. We're like, no way. And every single person can apply it to their sex life. Doesn't matter who you're into or what kind of sex you're having, or even if you're not having sex right now. I think everyone could learn something from it. It's very informative. So I would start with that one. As you know, title is everything. So our top episodes are How to Eat Pussy Like a Champ.
And then How to Suck Dick Like a Boss.
Yes, people love those. And they're great episodes. Our listeners particularly are looking for how-tos. They want to get these sexual mastery tools and how to be a better lover, whether for themselves or within their partnership. But yeah, go to number 126 with Jaya and you can then, well, there's plenty of other episodes to listen to if you want to go down the rabbit hole.
I'm
of
a big
Shameless
fan.
Sex.
The Emily Nagoski episode.
Yeah, come as you are. But
Yes.
it's come as you are because you are normal. Yes, you are normal.
Yes, you
something
are.
like that.
Yes, that one's a really good one. It was very just an eye-opening episode, and not only if you're a vulva owner, it's for anyone that is interested in having someone talk to you that's a complete intellectual and diving into topics that are about a lot of not even about vulvas in general, but how the patriarchy, and people get pissed saying that. And when we say that,
we're not anti-man.
We're not anti
we love
the
men.
patriarchy. It's just some of the
We don't like the system.
Yeah, the systems that have been built around female sexuality because of the patriarchy.
For men too. No, it's a limiting
for both. But
system.
that particular episode did have a lot to do with just our sexuality as vulva owning humans, as vagina owners. And I thought that episode was really powerful. Mm-hmm. I am dying to interview Esther Perel or just have her.
We decided that's when we
somewhere.
know. We know when we made it, when we got Esther Perel on our show.
I love her so much.
Someday.
I really am just putting it out there into the abyss of the universe to manifest that and bring it back. Esther, wherever you are.
Esther.
I love you, Esther.
Come on our show.
I can speak Hebrew. I know you do too. She does. She speaks
listening.
Like 9 languages.
She's listening right now.
She speaks like Flemish, French.
Oh my God.
English like a champ. Anyway.
She sounds like someone who's way too smart to listen to my podcast.
Oh, damn it.
Say that.
Probably the same over here. I'm like, damn it, that bitch probably listens.
I can't say you're the reeler in via my show, but I believe in manifestation 100%. So.
Me too.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. This is really great. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media? Anything you have to plug? Any websites? I know you guys have a YouTube channel. All that stuff.
You want me to plug?
Plug away.
Plug. So you can plug and play us we're on IG, which is Instagram. For all of you that don't know, my mom would be like, what's IG, April? So it's Shameless Sex Podcast. We're also on, we do have a YouTube channel. It is in progress. So all of our episodes are available. Visual content is coming shortly, and that is Shameless Sex Podcast, as well. And you can email us if you ever have sex questions at info@shamelesssex or contact at Shameless Sex. Maybe I wasn't the right person to do this. We also have a website. It's just shamelesssex.com.
Lots of Shameless Sex.
We drop a new episode on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you can listen to a podcast, you will find Shameless Sex. It's Amy and I half naked on our album cover with the black band that says Shameless Sex across our hooters, as they say in some places. And breasts as in others. So yeah, check us out, Shameless Sex on iTunes and all the places. And yeah, we hope to just have all of you having better sex and just being more enlightened. And Holly, you are just a voice of beautiful reason.
This is when you can tell that we're podcasters, because she's like closing you out.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I do that.
Hey Holly, it's been great having you on our show.
I know. Hey, just kidding, Holly. Just kidding.
Oh my God. No, it's great. I feel like my work is done here, and I don't have anything else to say.
Oh shit, that was good.
Well, thank you guys so much. Really educational. Wonderful episode, different than a lot of the ones that I do, but I love that. I'm definitely trying to bring more diversity to my show. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
The rest of you guys, you can find me on Instagram, on IG, as April says, at Holly Randall, and on Twitter at Holly Randall. And my website is hollyrandallunfiltered.com. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Holly Randall Unfiltered. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.